Today we're going to be doing an unboxing of the Wanhao Duplicator 7 3D printer. And the Wanhao D7 is a DLP type printer, digital light processing, instead of a regular resin printer. It uses a liquid resin that UV light will go and hit selectively in the vat. It's a process called photopolymerization. And what happens is this liquid will be in this vat and it'll harden specific little areas and then raise and lower the thing again and then harden another specific area, and eventually you've lifted a 3D print out of liquid. Imagine the Terminator movie, and it's a lot like that process. The interesting thing about this is the polymer ships separately if you upgrade from the polymer that comes with, the resin that comes with the printer. And what I found most interesting was all of these security checks that the resin has to pass through. And it comes with all these different forms talking about it was checked for poisonous liquids, but just know that it takes longer for the resin to get here. So if you're going to order separate resins, which I recommend, then I would suggest making sure that you've got enough time to get them here. Now, I'm a little nervous because I've dealt with filament printers for a long time using PLA or one of the different types of filament, and this is my first resin printer. So I'm going to try to come at this like a newbie. I'm a newbie to resin printing, but not a newbie to design or anything else. So I'm going to try to take things as if I had never used a 3D printer before and look at it in that way, because it's going to be very different. It doesn't have the same type of setup. Anyway, the printer itself, we will be unboxing, and I will try to set it up here on my work table. Now, this is a plastic work table, and I do this on purpose for testing printers. Every noise will echo on this table. That helps me kind of fine-tune things. All right, so once I get it fine-tuned, I'll move it to a wooden or metal table that doesn't do that. All right, so let's go ahead and open up and see what we've got here. We have the Wanhao Duplicator 7 desktop printer guide. All right, clear sheet of plastic. This is the getting started guide. Pretty simple, straightforward. And then we have the unpacking of the storage material. It's actually nice and solid and put together really well. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this part out, at least the best I can. That's not good. That came off in the process, so I will have to reattach that over here. And we have the rest of the printer here. There's not really anything to grab onto. You can see that it's boxed pretty solid. We pulled out the lid for the printer, and as you can see with the lid, it's put together really well, except for my fingerprints all over it. But it's solid powder-coated metal screwed together, and it's very heavy-duty, if you can't tell. It's like a barbecue grill almost. And in the inside, everything is packaged nicely together. All right, so here we have our printer. Okay, so as you can see, we've got a nice solid cover for the printer here. I started to look at the instructions, and what was kind of interesting to me is it goes 1 through 8, and then you open it up and you get the cover, and then it goes 16 to 17. And if you look on the inside, then you get 9 through 15. So it basically has, number 1, download and install the software. Number 2, unpack and connect the cables. Number 3, connect the software in the printer. Actually, it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So just be careful when you're doing that. All right, so let's go ahead and unbag this baby. I'm excited. All right, so you can see that it's not a large printer. It's also not a really small printer. I was expecting a much smaller printer. People talked about how it has a really small build size, but really the build size is 120 by 68 by 200 millimeters. So that's not a giant build size, but for a resin printer, that's not bad, especially when you've got it in the price range. You know, normally you wouldn't be able to find a resin printer under $1,000, and this one is right around 500. And so, to me, that right there is an amazing trade-off. I think if you're doing rapid prototyping or something like that, then the size is fine, especially if you're building individual components. All right. Now, if you are looking for a larger printer, you're going to be paying a lot more. All right, so here we have our printer, and everything is packed very well. It's even got these big old straps, which I just realized I didn't bring my clippers. There's the power cord, and a plate. Nope, that's the scraper, and a screwdriver tool. Looks like a hex wrench. Actually, it's a really nice hex. It's got it's like a screwdriver handle. All right, so that'll be next. You don't need scissors to take off the straps because they are put on like that. Might need scissors to take that one off, but we'll see. All right, it's exciting. Alrighty. This one we're going to need scissors because it goes through the bar, I believe. Yes, we will. Alright, so I'll just set that one aside for now. Remove the rest of this packing material. Alright, and that may be needing to screw up. Alright, so I will get my scissors, open this up, get set up, and we're ready to go. Alright, so the only thing I've really done since I stopped filming a minute ago was to pull this up and pull this piece of packing material out. I haven't taken anything out of the packages. I have not unboxed this yet. So let's see what we've got in our little accessories package here. Old habit style. In our pack here, looks like we've got some cables. Alright, looks like HDMI. We've got a regular kind of printer cable. We have a jar, and this jar will be used to clean off the finished product, because when you finish your projects, it will come out and it will still be covered in resin, and you need to clean off that resin. Alright, there's a couple knobs, as you can see, and blue sail. I'm not sure what that is. I'll have to read the directions on that. Again, I'm new to resin printing, so I'm kind of a newbie. So here we will put things together, get them out of the way. All right, so that right there is the well or the vat where we will be putting our resin, and the light underneath it, which is not on yet because I have not put in the power yet, is the UV light that will cure the layers of resin. So I'm now going to hook up the printer, and then I'll go through the step-by-step instructions and try to figure this out. Alright, so again, I opened up the bag that had the power cable in it, which we're going to hook up next, and the nice hex wrench, best hex wrench I own now, actually, and the scraper. Now, I've seen a lot of people use this to pry things off of the build plate, and that's really not what this is best for. This is really best for scraping out the resin and stuff that gets stuck in the well. So here on the back, I will plug in the power cord, and I may as well go and plug in the HDMI cord. Alright, so I've got my HDMI cable here, and plug that one in. Alright, the regular printer cord, and plug that in. And I try to do all of this stuff here, even if I'm not ready to print yet, so that I don't have to move the printer again once I get it all ready. And again, I'm starting off on a plastic surface, and I'll be eventually moving it to a wooden surface. This right here is the power cord, or power button. So when I'm ready, I'll just reach around and click that up. And the build plate and such, the knob that I just dropped, will actually attach here, hold this up so that this will go up and down, and it'll go into the well here and attach stuff to the build plate and go up like that. Now this has anodized black on the surface. Now I've been told that I need to sand this off before I use it, but again, I'm going to look at the instructions and I'm going to do it exactly as it came, exactly as the instructions say first. And if it turns out that I need something else in there, or to do something different, I will demonstrate that. I'm attempting to do the first step, but for some reason wanhao3dprinter.com is not available. So when you get to a position like that, what you might want to do is switch over to some people who can help. So for example, 3D Printing Club is a group and a page on Facebook, and it's a place where users of 3D printing technologies get together and help each other and share what they're working on. In this case, I was reminded I can go here and do Wanhao D7, and I just go into Wanhao Duplicator 7, and notice that over here there's a thing called files. And if I go in here and I start to look at the files, so you can see there's a lot of files in here that you can use. And if I drag this down a bit so you can see down here, there's the creation workshop that I'm looking for. Alright, so here is the zip file that I downloaded, and I unpacked it to my desktop, and I'm not sure if this is an install or if it's a run directly, so we're going to give it a shot, and I'm assuming Creation Workshop is the one to run. Alright, it looks like it's running. You can't really see the whole screen here. Let me drag you up here. This is the basic controls, the 3D view. You can see the inside the build plate, and then off to the side we have our scenes, and looks to be a typical 3D printing kind of platform. Alright, so what I've done now is I've connected the printer and turned it on, and so it just did a device setup. I hooked it to the HDMI as well as the regular printer port, and then I turned it on. The instructions say to check the display to change my second display, which I assume is the printer, to have this specific resolution. Alright, so as you can see, I have a screen here, and what I want to do is I need to change the resolution of this screen. It's supposed to be 2560 by 1440, and what it popped up as is 1440 by 2560. Maybe if I change it to landscape? I think if I can keep that resolution here, it's 2560 by 1440. Alright, so it looks like that did it. Okay, so we're up to the point now where I get to try a test print. So it says to switch on the printer and load the object STL, OBJ, or AMF that you want to print. And then number 5 is connect the software in the printer, and it's kind of getting ready to set up now. So I'm going to go ahead and switch to my screen mode, and hopefully you'll be able to see it okay. So what I did, I went to Thingiverse just to load something that would be tough. Like this one is a test print. This is an example, so I downloaded it. It's by Ancient Wolf, and it's on Thingiverse. My Thingiverse is under Ask Griff, so you can check that out as well. The next thing I want to do is I want to jump over to my actual screen build here. Alright, so in this step of the process, we're supposed to go to Configure, Configure Machine, and in the Configuration folder, connect the printer to the computer by clicking on the button Configure. Select the port you've connected the USB to. 115,200 and 8 OK. I guess I have to pick one of those. So we'll hope that's it. Click on Apply. Well, I'm a little confused at the settings. They don't really explain what it is you're trying to set up. So This is not really great for a newbie. The next thing it says, once connected the printer to the computer, go to configure machine. Change the build size exactly to the following pick. I'm not sure if you can see this, but the pick is so small. Let's see if I can focus that here a little bit. The pick is so small, I'm having trouble actually seeing what the settings are. By clicking the display resolution 2560 to 1440 and then plus, and click apply. Number 7 is go to the configure slicing profile. Let's see, change the slice thickness from 0.0 to 2.1. Exposure time 4,000 to 12,000. Bottom exposure time 50,000 to 200,000. I'm not sure which is, well, I guess I'll start at the bottom. That's for Wanhao resin. Maybe I should go somewhere in the middle. Maybe I'll do 8,000 and let's see, from 50 to 200, maybe 125,000. I have no idea if I'm messing this up or not. Apply changes. Alright, step 8, click the load object. I've gone and I've downloaded an object. So if I go to where I've saved the object and I'm going to jump into STL files, it says check and adjust the object to ensure it is placed inside the printing area. There we go, click on 3D view. Use your left mouse button to roll around it. Your right mouse button moves it back and forth. Your scroll wheel zooms. I would like to make it a little larger. Scale. I was kind of hoping you could drag and do scale. Perhaps you can. But like if I do 120. Alright, and then it looks like I'm out of the range now, so that's good to know. Okay, so 120 is too big, so I'm going to go 110. Click, click. Nope, because I've already scaled it up. Now we need to go back to where we started with. So I think what I would do instead of just do that is I would try to reload it and see if that does it. Now it looks like we've got 2. Scene, delete, let's see, can you delete one? So, try this again. Maybe move it back 5, so it's more in the middle. I guess I'll just leave it the way it is. Now open Slice View to check that first layer of every object is in contact. Slice View. I am not sure what I'm really seeing here. Go back to 3D View here. Maybe do my Z-axis down 0.1 or something. Okay, so now it's saying I'm going through the bottom of the plate. So now if I look at Slice View, still nothing. Alright. Well, I'm not exactly sure what that's supposed to be telling me at this point. That's interesting. Alright, so we're here at step 9, prepare the Duplicator 7 for printing. And it says to place the vat on the top of the LCD screen. That's this right here, this is the vat, and it came already on the LCD screen. Let me just lift it off to make sure that there's nothing like loose pieces of anything under it. Alright, so you can see that the vat is here, it's got a glass on it. And there's the LCD screen there. Alright. So it'll slide back down like that. There's a couple knobs over here that will screw down onto this. I don't want to tighten it too tight, but you can see I'm still moving it pretty well. Here's the other one. This one went on a little bit smoother. Number 10 is slide the building plate onto the building plate holder. Okay, this is the building plate, and this is the building plate holder up here. Make sure to build compound with groove side toward the printer. I'm thinking it means this slot here. Yes, because there's a thing in there that holds it. All right, gotcha. All right, and then this thing screws into the top. Okay, let's see. Tighten the build plate knob and loosen the 4 screws at the side of the platform. So we'll use this nice little wrench we got here and loosen these 2 screws a little bit, or 4 screws I should say. Alright. It's actually a really nice little hex. Last one. Okay, so it can move freely up and down. Now click on the control tab. The control tab, that's the one up here with the joystick on it. Alright, so back to this. I'm going to click on the control tab for this next point, and it says press the home button to lower the platform. It'll move down and set on the screen. It's not though. Before I do this, I'm going to make sure that the screws are a little bit looser. If it is going to go down and all the way to the bottom, I don't want to accidentally have anything kind of like catch. Alright, so it feels pretty, oh, see, I don't like that. It feels pretty free, but why when I click the home button does it not go down? Alright, following the directions, and again, I'm trying to follow it so that if anybody else followed the directions to a T, that they would be fine. Okay, so as you can see, my build plate is lowering. I'm hoping it clears the screws. I don't want to really mess with it too much. Alright, so it is now lowering so that I can set up the build plate, and basically what will happen is it will go all the way down and that'll be the home, and then I will hold it down and I will tighten up the screws for the build plate. Theoretically. Alright, it should be just about homed. There we go. Alright. And now what I'm supposed to do is hold this down firmly with my fingers, and like what else would I hold it down with? And then tighten up the screws. Alright, so we've got that set. That's homed. Lift the building plate and fill the vat with resin. It says a quarter full vat is enough for a medium-sized print. So I'm not really sure exactly what a medium-sized print would be, but we will, I guess, figure that out. So I'm going to go ahead and open the resin. This jar, this is a 250 milliliter jar of resin. And so it's the only resin I have, so we're going to do what we can with this. I'm not sure how much resin this uses because I'm new to this whole 3D printing with resin thing, but we will see what we got. There we go. Alright, so you just pull this ring off, and we should be able to open this up. Sealed. I would use my teeth, but I haven't looked enough to see if this is toxic or not. It's probably one of the things I should start doing before reviewing it. Alright, so I think we've just about got this open. Boy, it's not much resin in here. It's a very kind of viscous white liquid. Yellowish white, I guess. Boy. Alright. And I'm going to need to level this a little bit. It doesn't say to level it, but since my table is a cheapy plastic table that I'm doing this on, I want to make sure that it's straight. It says to place the hood onto the printer in the control panel, press Z home and place the platform in the home position. I really wanted to watch this build. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to. Step 15, after we place the build platform back down. So here, let me go ahead and put that down there. Let me first go back to my home, and sounds like it's going to home down into the fluid, into the resin, the liquid resin. I feel like I'm going to have to lift this off just to see. There it goes. Let me go back to my slice. Let's see, that slicing profile is default. Go to my 3D view. Let me load up an object again. I'm going to do my test print here. Alright, I guess I'm going to have to put this back on for a few minutes. So I go to my slicing and click slice. It says slicing completed, and then I can click build and we'll see what happens. You can see I've got some weird shapes and stuff on there, and I have a feeling those are being UV lighted to the build stuff right now. So what I'll do is I'm going to let that run for a little while and come back and check it. Let me see if I can pull this off just a little bit. It looks the same, so I'm not sure if it's doing anything or not. But I'll be back in a few minutes to check. Well, to say that my first print on my Wanhao Duplicator 7 was disappointing would be a gross understatement. I expected for things to not stick right, or I expected the resolution to be wrong, or for the thing to have fallen off in the resin, or maybe my bumping the table caused some problem, but it literally did nothing. There's nothing in the resin. There is nothing on the build plate up here but resin. It didn't solidify anything that I can find in here. So I'm not sure that the UV lights were even coming on. I'm not sure how to even check that now that I've put my resin in the vat. Anyway, I will work on this and come back with the first print. Please stay tuned and make sure that you subscribe so that you can catch up on whether or not I got this thing fixed. So thanks a lot for being here and watching the unboxing.